No, Lee. I like having my imaginary
Okay, sorry.
sentient Roomba.
Hey everyone, welcome to Let's Dream Podcast episode 23. As always, we have your host, Lee.
How's it going, everyone? This is Casey Lucid.
Alright, so for today's episode, we got more dream stories for you all, so let's get right to it. The first dream story is from user My Name's Not Isaiah. Lately, I've been practicing doing grander, more omnipotent things in my dreams, with my greatest achievement having been summoning a storm upon a guy who was pissing me off. Anyway, last night I reached a new threshold in a very surreal and interesting dream. The furthest back I can remember, I was sitting at a picnic table with some friends. The park where we sat in the top of a bluff and seemed to be lightly based on a park I go to sometimes in real life. From my seat at the table, you could overlook the bluff, and you had a magnificent view of the city skyline. By the way, I live in Portland. I remember it being early evening and seeing a beautiful nebula just above the skyline, almost like a halo over the metro. Anyway, next thing I know, we were standing up around the table listening to dubstep and dancing. Why dubstep? I don't know, but I haven't listened to any since middle school, but for some reason, my subconscious wanted to wig out. I was listening to it with my friend from real life. We were still in the same park the dream started in, just about 20 feet away from the bench. At this point, I had some way or another clued into the fact that I was dreaming. So I decided to impress my friend with some cool lucid magic, so I started telekinetically pulling leaves off a bush on rhythm with a song. He was like, "Whoa dude, how are you doing that?" And I was like, "Pretty cool, right?" And then a drop came in the song, so I timed it by raising my hands to the sky and saying, "Birds!" It was a little delayed, but after a second, hundreds of crows started flying over us in all kinds of different directions. This really impressed them. I sensed another drop coming in the song, and I decided to do something really grand. I stepped back a few feet out onto the street. I looked up in the sky and I could see the moon staring back at me. The thing was freaking massive, huge. It took up a quarter of the sky, and it was a dark shade of blue glowing down upon us. I took a deep breath through my nose, braced myself, then exhaled through my mouth. Then I threw my arms out and started Bruce Almighty pulling it towards us like there was a lasso wrapped around it. As I pulled it closer, the sky started getting darker, and I could begin to make out the details of the moon better. I started to feel heat on my face as it entered our atmosphere. Then I saw part of it make contact with the ground on the horizon, and in seconds I saw flames begin to engulf everything in front of us. The trees, buildings, and the ground in front of us began to shatter. It all came rushing towards me, and in a half second everything was destroyed. Next thing I remember, I was floating in complete darkness, but I could see a small, bright light in the distance. It looked just like the sun, but there were no other stars around me. I put my hand up, waving my fingers through its light, wondering where I had ended up. Was this all that was left? Had I destroyed the planet? Was I dead? Is this some sort of void? But then I woke up. I was a little disappointed the dream had ended early, but still excited from it. I sat up not only to realize that I wasn't in my bed. This was somewhere I'd never been before. I smiled, realizing I was still dreaming, and my adventure wasn't over yet. A little boy walked into the room. He was only about 8 years old, I'd imagine. He said to me, "Dad, this letter came in the mail for you," then handed me a small package. So I'm a father in this reality. Interesting. Never had a dream like this before.
That went all over the place. How epic.
Oh man. Yeah. Good job on doing and practicing your lucid control. That's pretty epic.
Really? Man, crashing the moon down onto the earth. That sounds like such a great thing to do in a lucid dream. Not in real life, but definitely in a lucid dream.
And it seems like you got reincarnated to a father in some other dimension or something.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that one a lot. Thank you for sharing that with us. My name's not Isaiah. But yeah, that reminded me of like Dragon Ball Z or something, just crashing the moon into the planet.
That seemed pretty realistic. I think everything would just start once it makes impact with the earth. Things just start falling into itself.
Everything destroyed. How awesome. Okay. Well, let's see. So the next one that we have is from a user named Balance Chaddin. So this is a little shorter one. The dream goes, "Okay, so I had a dream where my dad made a deal with the devil, but for some reason, when he lost, we took this big Viking ship to a courtroom in a cave off of some sea in a jungle. Weird, I know. And half the room was family and friends, and half was goblins and creatures, and the fate of my dad was up to a vote. Anyway, when the time came, my grandfather, in the audience, started playing music, and everyone slowly started joining in, and it was this big musical battle to win my dad's soul back. We ended up winning, and that was it.
I like that. I want to know what instruments they were using, though.
Yeah, it sounds like it almost sounds like musical.
The
like
dough went down to Georgia.
Some kind of a musical plot. Also, that's, one thing that I sometimes I like to experiment with, kind of like the previous dreamer, is, with music in dreams, especially in lucid dreams. I like that both of these dreams had music in them. It's interesting because if anyone that's a lucid dreamer listening to this, try to have while you're dreaming, try to ask yourself or make your brain just play music for you. And the result is usually very interesting. Like, just like turn on some background music, and it's not always music. It doesn't always make sense, but it's really interesting.
And you can win your dad's soul back.
Yeah. Yes. Cool. But thank you for sharing that with us. And all right.
So the next story we have is from user Buffalo Cartographer. I am in the countryside of a farm. I walk on a dirt path with my mom past many fenced animals. There are horses and many cows. We get to an area with a pig. He is cartoonish and very cute. He tries to play with me through the fence and then starts racing me. We both run at full speed on each side of the fence. He's faster than me. I continue to walk along the fence and it eventually just opens up to the trail I am on. The pig walks up to me. He is bright pink with pig eyes, ears, and a tiny nose with a mouth. I put my hand down for him to sniff but realize he does not have nostrils. A weird little tongue sticks out from his mouth to lick me. We walk to the museum together and the museum guide treats the pig like a child. This offends me and we leave the museum. Something about the pig reminds me about a trip I went on a while ago, which was actually from a dream months ago. I see a map. The trip was on Grandma's farm, but the farm looked different. There was a lot of raining. There was also a chase with a bad guy in a huge tractor. I also remember another time I was walking through many pathways and down a hill to get home. I walked for a long time and hiked the last 400 meters. These two previous dreams are somehow the memories I am recalling within this dream. We leave the museum and it is nighttime. We go to a giant wall in the woods. The pig fortifies it. The end.
Dream logic at its finest.
This sounds really personal and not at the same time. Do you get that feeling?
A little bit. A couple of things. Yeah, it sounded. I wonder why. Like, how do you get, like, if you see a pig and you're just like, oh, I'm going to go to a museum with them, like, does the pig represent somebody?
A small child, yeah.
Okay.
At least a small child.
Maybe.
But also recalling or connecting the dreams and the real life at the same time, I find that interesting.
Oh, yeah. Has that ever happened to you? Where you're dreaming, and then you remember a dream from another time?
I feel like I've had deja vu of that, but I can't remember.
Okay. Yeah, because it's kind of weird because when you're lucid dreaming, it's kind of like you know that you're dreaming, and then sometimes you'll remember a dream from another time that you were sleeping and dreaming, and then sometimes that can that dream will start to seep into your dream because you're thinking about it. It's really bizarre.
That sounds cool.
But yeah, let's see what else we have here. Okay, so the next one, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this username correctly. I think it's Jaquam or Jaquam the Wizard. Joacom the Wizard. Either way, interesting name. Okay, so the dream goes, me and a man named Kyle, who wore a green and white shirt and a red snapback hat and jeans, were in a very vertical forest, as if it was a large corkscrew with trees and rocks and grass on it. Our goal was to rescue robotic vacuums from SCP-173, if you know what that is. We had finished rescuing the Roombas and we were on our way out when it appeared. We couldn't look at it or it would move. We ran down the corkscrew forest to evade it, and then my vision darkened as I ran before we reached the bottom of our saved Roombas. The end.
So I know that SCPs are like these. They're like this online collection of weird creatures that people write.
Okay.
So like, yeah, they're in a facility that keeps all these dangerous and monstrous creatures.
Okay, is that what it is? I thought it was from a video game because I looked it up and it looked.
There is also a video game of it.
Okay, because I looked it up and it's a very, very creepy looking creature.
Yeah.
But I like that they dreamt that they were rescuing vacuums of all things.
Roombas.
Yeah.
Oh man. Maybe one day that'll happen because the Roombas will have cool AI and like they'll be worth something and like
the Roombas end up saving the humans.
Yeah, someone like hid like a human saving data on them. So
you know what's creepy? Because me and my fiance, we have a Roomba and it's like plugged in next to the in the living room next to where the TV stand is, and sometimes out of the blue, out of nowhere, it'll just like turn on and like move away from its station and like move around, and then it'll go back to its station. And I don't know if it's a glitch or something, but I like to think that maybe it's like it's becoming slowly sentient, and it's like, oh, are they gone? Oh, okay, I can start looking around. And then it moves out, and then it's like, oh shit, they're still here. And then it goes back like nothing happened. That's what happens in my mind anyway.
Are you sure you don't have it on a schedule?
Good question. That's probably a much more logical answer.
It might be on a set schedule. If you haven't set one, it might be on its own. Probably a thing to look at.
No, Lee. I like having my imaginary sentient Roomba.
And the next story is from the user, the Vivid spelled with 2 Y's. I was in class. Lunch was almost here, and my teacher brought in this big stainless steel square machine. It had a small nozzle in front and a keypad with a little green screen that shows what you type. Classmates were typing in pizza, and it squared out these abominations. They were rubbery, mushy, synthetic pizzas that slithered out into your plate. The cheese looked more like scrambled eggs, and it tasted nothing like pizza. Everyone in my class was getting slices, despite me asking them if it tasted good, to which they replied no. I even tried a pepperoni off of someone's pizza, and it tasted nothing like pepperoni. The pizza wasn't even warm when it came out. I asked the pizza where she got the machine, to which she replied, a clown. I've been watching a lot of Shark Tank, so my brain tried to create a new product. Commented the user.
Nice. You know what that reminds me of? I remember one time, this is a long time ago, I had a dream where I was walking, and there were these cars. I was like walking on the side of the road, like it was a sidewalk, and there were these cars, and it was coming up to a tunnel. And the tunnel was a mouth that was like opening and closing, and it was like basically eating the cars. And then there were cars driving towards it, and they would like see me walking on the side of the road, and they're like, hey man, don't go towards that tunnel. And they would keep driving, and then they would get eaten by the tunnel mouth.
Oh, just because like everyone's doing it, and you're just like, even though they know like the pizza doesn't even taste good, but they keep eating it, and they know they told you like, hey, that tunnel's dangerous, don't go nearby, and they do it anyway.
Yeah,
and they eat the pizza. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's really weird, but I like that that's what the dreamer had experienced. It made me think of like when parents say to their kids like, do as I say, not as I do, you know.
Oh man.
Yeah, but that's cool. Okay, so this last one it's a pretty long one, but very interesting. So this is from the user, you drunk bitch. That's the username.
Hey, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. Thank you for this additional story. It's a very interesting one. Okay, so it goes, my husband Russell and I live in a city that has pretty intricate downtown area. We decided to go riding bikes up and down the streets. Somehow, a wrong turn had placed us in the garden of a very private university. Now, by private, I mean no one really knows anything about it. They hear the name, they see the ads, but no one really knows anybody who goes in or has gone there. It was orientation day, so Russell and I decided to pretend to be students and just walk in the campus with them. Immediately, we knew something was off, because as we walked into the first building, everyone was given one little piece of candy. Well, that candy piece gave us the ability to morph into other creatures or change our appearance. We were placed in a large stadium where we could try out our morphing abilities. The effect was cool, but still troublesome. So the husband and I decided we couldn't consume anything else while on the campus. Next, we were in line to go into a hall for some more orientation, quote-unquote, stuff. I peeked my head through a window and saw all the kids in there and the advisor instructing all of them to drink from the cups. Looked a little too drink the Kool-Aid for me, so I turned to the husband and said, "Let's get out of here." We spent the next 30 minutes trying to find an exit, but they had all been welded shut. We tried to find a random secret way that we had gotten in from, but it was blocked by advisors. We noticed all the kids who were in the hall, who had consumed the beverage, and had been released into the garden. They were all grabbing their heads and stomachs. Some collapsed. Some ran in circles pretending to be flying. Some used the loopy state combined with their morphing abilities and became squirrels and cats and chased each other around, and then killed each other. My husband and I grabbed hands and hid. No way did we want anyone of authority to find us. Then we saw a few guys who didn't look too crazy. They were watching everyone from under the bleachers. We went up and spoke to them. They explained how they'd been there for a few years now and only came out to eat. They took us up to their hiding spot, an old announcer box. They went in first and sat on an old worn-out couch. I peeked my head up and saw dead bodies everywhere. "Fuck!" I exclaimed again and again, as everywhere I turned, a corpse was laying. The guys weren't fazed. They explained that was how they ate. People died on campus all the time. There was no real source of nutrition anywhere on campus. We ditched the announcer box after that and ran for the trees. And an advisor grabbed me by the arm and asked if we had our meeting in the hall yet. Trying to distance myself, I lied, saying we would head there soon, but are still having so much fun with the morphing abilities. My husband decided to try out the feature and became a deer. Only thing was, you could tell easily if it was a real animal or not. We gave off a shimmering glow when our appearance and changed in any way. Kind of useless. Once the advisor turned away, I ran, but I couldn't find Russell. Something told me to keep running. I came across a cabin. It was the groundskeeper's. As I walked up to it, another chick who was trying to escape found me. I told her that my husband was missing, and she said the groundskeeper got him. We crept up to the window and saw Russell chained to a wall. The groundskeeper, whose appearance struck me first, was dancing around his living room singing about how he finally caught his first prisoner. He had extra eyes sewn to his face and hands. The chick and I decided to wait until he slept, and while he slept, she decided to distract the groundskeeper. I should replace Russell with her, chain her up in his place. We thought it had worked, except as Russell and I were escaping, the dean showed up and stabbed a syringe into his neck. I freaked out and ran. Except at about 400 feet, my body started glitching out. I kept morphing into random things. I stood there shaking and confused, and the dean caught up with me. She tried explaining to me that the candy I ate was wearing off, that I needed to drink the liquid to complete the transformation. I refused. Fading into the next scene, I'm sitting in a corner of a large concrete space full of nooks and crannies. The dean and groundskeeper walk up to me with my husband on a leash. He isn't himself anymore. Whatever was in the syringe turned his brain to mush. The dean sat him down next to me along with 2 blocks of bluish-white fat. I knew what was about to happen, so I, for some reason, grabbed a block of fat and ran off. I didn't want to hear his screams. I hid in a corner, mashing up the block of fat. The dean walked up to me with the other. "No," she said, "like this." She showed me her piece of fat, and now she had molded it into a funny-looking ear. I looked at it, and then got to molding mine into an even funnier-looking ear. She patted me on the back proudly and said, We might have a different place for you here." Together we walked back to Russell, who was now dazed and earless. the groundskeeper was dancing around with his ears. The dean and I bent down and put our new wonky ears on the sides of Russell's head. "Now look at you. Aren't you cute?" the dean said to him. He giggled and clapped his hands like a baby. I stood there numb, realizing this to be my fate, and praying that one day I might be able to escape. As the image faded to black, a little verbal tune was playing. "Nothing's gonna be alright."
Wow. Holy crap.
Man, what a dream.
That's insane. In the first part, I was like, oh, cool, it's going to be some weird stuff on a campus. Oh, did I?
Were you right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, were you right?
Oh,
I never heard of drinking the Kool-Aid, but... I never really know where that came from, but I think this is it for me.
Yeah, don't drink the
for
Kool-Aid,
that term.
man.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
That was so great. Thank you for sharing that with us and letting us share it with our listeners. This was a great dream. I like that a lot.
Yeah, oh my god, that's so horrific and like wacky at the same time.
Yeah, I think I actually might try to do a storyboard of this one just because it's very, very dramatic and interesting.
It's pretty epic.
Very suspenseful too. I give this one a 10 out of 10. Not that they're rated awesome. Or anything.
But this is a big roller coaster, Wow. There's drama, there's horror, there's thrills.
Yeah, this could be a movie. I would watch this movie.
Yeah, creepy freaking university inside of in the middle of the woods somewhere.
Yeah. Oh man. But anyway, okay, well, that was pretty much all the dreams that we had for all of our listeners today. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you so much for all of you that shared your dreams with us and allowed us to share them on the podcast. If any of the listeners have dreams that they want us to narrate like this, let us know. Just send us an email, contact@letsdreampodcast.com. And we always try to put up visuals on our Instagram, Let's Dream Podcast, as well as our YouTube channel. Same thing, Let's Dream Podcast. So thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next time.